Hi guys, welcome in. You can call me Bunny. If you're new here, I am a stay-at-home mom learning to program and hoping to break into tech within the next year or so. I have been on my journey for a little while now, but it's definitely been up and down. And only recently have I been able to really get more consistent and really dig in. So I thought that I would record my processes and explain what's going through my head, what I'm doing in my coding to hopefully one, improve, and two, just so that I can look back in a year from now and say, oh, I have come a long way, or oh, okay, I haven't improved as much as I had hoped. If you are returning, thank you. Welcome back, and I appreciate your support in watching my videos. Today, what we're going to be working on is we're going to be working on the Minesweeper board. So I'm going to be doing a series of videos where I will be building Minesweeper from the very bottom, design and figuring out how I want to approach it to different levels in terminal, and maybe further on also building a web app using React and Python. I don't know React, so that's something I would need to learn. So let's get into this. Okay, so first things first, we're going to talk about the design of the board. Minesweeper board is basically a grid, right? So we have however many number of rows, and we have however number many of columns, right? So what I did to approach this was I actually am going to use a 2D array to depict the board in terminal. Um, so how I'm going to do that is each row we have will be an array, and then the columns will create each item in that array. And then the board itself will be another array of the rows. So right here, I hope that this shows you what I mean. So I have this array of rows right here. So I have this row, and this row. So these are all arrays, and then they would come together into another array to create the board. Um, and in doing this, I also plan to include the numbers as well, because I have built Minesweeper before. I built it as one of my first projects when I was learning to program. I went in completely blind and just kind of figured it out with a lot of trial and error. This time I'm trying to be more cognizant of how I'm approaching the code. I want to design and have a clear plan of action. So the design of the board itself will be before anything happens when the player starts the game, right? So player uh, starts running the game in terminal, or else in the web app, the player says, let's play. The board is created. However, one of the classic things with Minesweeper is that first move is never a mine. Some people have claimed that they've chosen a mine before on the first move, but it's never happened to me. And I remember Googling it and it's saying, no, it can't happen. So how I'm going to approach this is I'm going to create the board, but I'm not going to assign the mines yet. We're going to actually take the user's move first and then assign the mines. So today we're only creating the board and we're going to work on the user input. Next video we'll talk about assigning the mines and how we're going to approach that. So how we're going to do this is we would first need to create the board, right? Board. Then take user move, the very first move. So again, this is after the board has been created, that after the board has been shown to the user. Take the very first move, and then from there, we're going to make a note. Mines are not placed yet, so that the user's first move cannot be mine. So I did also think about, oh, well, what if I were to assign the mines, then check against it. If it is a mine, then we would reassign that one particular mine. But then in my head, it's that kind of felt like it would be more complicated because then I would have to keep track of the first move and then placing and then checking the mines, and then how would I separate that from the second move and making sure that the code itself didn't keep changing where the mines were. Honestly, that seems like a pretty cool game, but not the classic Minesweeper that we want to do, right? So the mines are not placed yet so that the user's first move cannot be a mine. After that, we are going to print, or sorry, first need to create the board, then need to print the board. Okay. Okay. So from there, next week, placing the mines. Okay. So how we're going to create the board is we're going to use nested loops. We're going to loop through the number of rows. I'm going to add the comment so that I can just copy and paste it. So we're going to loop through the number of rows, and we're also going to take into account that we want to add the numbers. My original design when I first built this game did not have the numbers. I could not figure out for the life of me how to add the numbers. Like I said, there might be a better way to do this, a more correct way, but this is how I figured it out this time. So we know that the numbers, this is going to be right here, right? This is going to be 0 index because we know that every array, unless specified, is a 0 index number, right? So sorry, a 0 index array. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3. Look at that. We already have the numbers right here, right? So this would be 0 right here. So then we want a grid of 9 by 9 for beginner Minesweeper. So here we have 4 rows. So if we want 9 rows, but we also have to take into account this extra row or this extra column right here, what we would want to do is we would want to add 1. And then we're going to loop through the number of columns plus 1. Okay, so we know, if you look at this grid again, we know that the columns or the rows, numbers themselves, are in either the 0 index row or the 0 index of that particular array. So this is index right here. This would be, oops. Okay, so this would be right here would be index, oh my gosh. This right here would be index 0. And then this is index 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the index. Okay, so what we know is we want to check if row or row we are on or column we are on is 0. Okay, if it is, it doesn't have to be both, but it has to be either or. If it is, we're going to add the number, and you'll see in a second how I did that without having to keep track of an extra variable. Okay, so from there we would append row or column number to the row list, right? And then if not or else, so if the rows and columns both do not equal 0, then we are going to append whatever character we want. So append means add if you are new to programming. So append, where in my case, I'm going to use 0 to row list. Okay, and then at the end of that particular loop, we're going to append that row list. So row at the end of the loop, at end of the loop, add the row list to the board array. Okay, so that is our board. So we also want to print the board. I'm going to create different functions for all of these. Okay, and then after that, we're going to take user input. Okay. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is we're in VS Code now, right? So we are going to create a class Minesweeper for the game. Okay. And then we're going to do define init. And for now, we're going to pass, right? Now we're going to add this. So we want to create a function or method. Sorry. So a method is within a class. A function is out. Oh, this, we need to fix the tabs. Okay, so define create board self. And then we're going to also define print board. And then we're also going to self and pass. And we're going to pass. And then we're going to also define get yes. Or actually, it's not a guess. Get move. That's self. And we're going to pass for now. So first and foremost, we want to loop through the number of rows. Okay, so we're going to create up here in the, I'm drawing a blank on what this is, the initializer, the constructor. So what we're going to do is we're going to create self dot board equals, and this is going to be an empty array. The reason why I want to put it in the initializer is because I need it available in all of the, I need it started when it first is created or when the program first runs. Okay, so then we're going to also do self dot board size for now is going to be up here. So it's going to be 9 by 9. Okay. So we're going to have for row in range self dot board size 0, because that's going to be +1. Row and range, okay, and then we're also going to do for column in range of self dot board size 0 +1. And here's the thing, I know that once we start adding the levels, it's going to change a little bit. But for now, here is, we're also going to initialize a new row list, right? So this is just a temporary value. So we're going to do row list equals, and it's an empty list. Okay, so we want to check if row or column, if row equals 0 and column equals 0. The reason why I'm checking for 0, 0 is since I'm using O as the list image as the character. Since I'm using O as the character in my board, I don't want to use 0. So we're going to have row list dot append, and again, that's add. We're going to actually just do M for Minesweeper. Okay. If row equals 0, we're going to do row list dot append, and we're going to do column. Okay, and then we're going to do if column equals 0, we're going to do row list dot append row column 0. Yes, so that's the row number. Now lastly, we're going to do else, okay, append 0 to the row list, right? We're going to do row list dot append 0, or sorry. And then at the end of the list, or at the end of the column for loop, what we're going to do is we're going to append our board self.board dot append row list. Okay, and this should give us the two-dimensional array. And I am going to do define play games self, and I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Okay, we're going to do self dot create board. Okay, and then if name equals main, we're going to do Minesweeper. Okay, and then if we run it, oh, I guess it would help if I were printing it right now, huh? Okay, so let's print. Let's create the print board. So we're going to also, I can show you the array actually. We're going to print self.board. Okay. Dot play game. Huh. That did not. Oh, there we go. Okay. As you can see right here, it has the first row is all of the numbers of the columns. Second row or second array, you'll see, okay, it has 1 and then it's just 0, 0, 2. Okay, so now we're going to print the board. And to do that, we are going to first print a new line. I have to print a new line because I don't know what happened to my VS Code, but it prints a whole bunch of random characters. I really should fix it, but I haven't yet. So we're adding a new line. Depending on your IDE, you might not have to do this. So then we are going to also join and loop through this as well. So we're going to do for row in self.board, right? Yeah, self.board. We want to print, we're going to space it, dot join. Hopefully I remember the syntax for this. Okay, that should be correct now. So now we're going to add self.print board right here. And if we run it, join.row, expected string instance found. Join row in self.board. Hold on. Print type rows. See, look, debugging right during video. List. That is a list. So why is that not working? Let's figure this out. Okay, I'm back. I remember why that's not working. So I actually need to change these into strings. String. Okay, and then this is also string. I believe when I was writing this last night, I used an F string, which now thinking about it doesn't make sense. But there we go. As you can see right here, it is now printed. Okay, so here's our board. And we're also going to want to get user input. Okay, so get move. So what we're going to do is user move equals input, please provide row and column number you would like to. Please provide space you would like to uncover. Row, column. Okay, so we are now able to get the user move as well. We aren't going to clean it up just yet because we need to uh, assign the bombs or mines, and then we also need to check the user input. But for today, we have our board created as well as we are taking in the user input. So next time, what we're going to do is we're going to assign the bombs to spaces, and we're also going to validate the user input to make sure that they are entering something, like entering an actual coordinate. Okay, but if you did enjoy this video and you found it informative or entertaining, honestly, I'm okay if it wasn't informative, but if you found it entertaining, please consider hitting that thumbs up and the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. I will still be putting out leak code videos as well with how I solved it and how I worked through it. But I also wanted to do something a little bit different where I build actual projects and hopefully continue to grow my portfolio as well. Okay. I appreciate you all. Thanks, guys. Bye.